Welcome to the Calm Mind Podcast, the show about life's transitions. I'm Ellie, and my co host is Pamela.
Hi again.
On this episode, I'm actually just going to interview Pamela to get a sense of who she is as a person and as a coach. So, Pamela, what made you want to start coaching?
Woof. Well, hello, Ellie. Good question. What made me want to start coaching? I think it's kind of been in the works for a long time. I feel like in the past, all the different careers I've had and just all the experiences I've gone through, I feel like I was always finding myself being in presence with other people where I thought I could help or be part of their journey. So naturally, it just came natural to me where, as an esthetician, always clients on my bed would talk about their life. As a massage therapist, like the same. And then just in all my relationships with my friends and family, I was always kind of like the one that people went to for advice or just to for support. So I thought that's what coaching was. So I thought, hey, since I like being present with other people and helping, why don't I pursue this as a career or just become better at this? And then I found out that it was kind of different. It wasn't that. So I had to make space and become a better listener and just hold the space a little different than that I was used to. And like, so it was a fun journey for me to learn and grow and at the same time learn to help other people. So I think that's kind of what made me want to become a coach because I was helped by another coach during a certain period of my life where I needed to figure things out. And I saw what a great impact it had on me in such short time, and it was so effortless and easy. So I thought maybe I could do that.
It's interesting you talk about the advice part.
Yeah, so I think it's so easy to give advice. I think I'm really good at it because perhaps I think I know better. I don't know. And I think it also because people seem to have come to me before for advice. So I just thought that's what every time someone comes to me wants is advice. But I'm finding that it's different because sometimes, we give advice to our friends or family, loved ones, and this is our advice, our decision for them. So I'm learning and I've learned that advice is okay if it's asked for. And in what kind of advice? Like most of the time people just want to be heard and listened to and been given a space to like for them to explain themselves and just process whatever they're processing, and that is so much more valuable than just giving advice. So I have had that like this big aha turnaround in the past couple of years of that. I'm still working hard to make sure that, even if I'm asked for advice, I kind of like hold back a little bit and give the opportunity to allow the person who's asking for them to figure it out for themselves rather than me giving them my 2 cents. Because you can only give advice, but then is it true that the person you're giving advice to will actually take it or not? So it could be kind of not beneficial to them. So I'm learning not to give advice.
What do you do when somebody asks you for advice?
Depends who it is. If it's like my daughter or my husband or a best friend that I know really well, I think these days I ask, do you want like my advice or are you asking me like, so I ask permission. But if someone is asking me for advice, I try to question them so that they can find their own advice. It's like a hard thing for me to do because I'm so good at telling people what to do. And it's backfired on me many times in the past.
That's juicy. Can you talk more about the backfiring? If you feel comfortable, if you don't want to, that's
Oh, yeah.
fine.
So,
Okay.
it's so natural for us to get frustrated, right? When you're talking to a friend and they're going through something. I'm just going to say a friend. Let's not even talk about clients. They're going through something, an era in their life, or something they're involved in, and they're just expressing themselves. They just need space to, let it all out. And then they'll ask you, well, what do you think? What should I do? And then when have said in the past where I think this is what I would do, or this is what you should do, blah, blah, blah. And so it's very rare that you find the person that you give advice to actually takes your advice and follows it. So then there's that point where you can get hurt because you invested X amount of hours talking to this friend. You were emotional with them and you felt their emotions and you tried to jump in the pool while they were drowning. And instead of staying outside of the pool and guiding them to get out of the pool by themselves, you just jump in the pool and then you ended up drowning with them or almost drowning. And so when you give advice, I think it's kind of like gift giving. You give it because you want to, and you should not expect anything back. And so if they ask for advice and you're a good friend enough to express yourself or you give your opinion or your advice, it's okay if they take it or not. But in the past, because we're talking about backfiring, I've taken it personal from people if I've given them advice and I thought it was the best advice and they didn't do it. So then I thought like, oh my goodness, like they don't value my opinion or I wasted my time and so on and so on. So now I see it from a different perspective, a different lens. I'm very limited to when I give advice or I try. And then if I do, I don't hold a grudge or I try not to be upset if they don't follow through with my advice because ultimately this is their life and it's their choice, right? So that's my thought behind this.
What have you enjoyed most about coaching?
Well, I really have liked first the growth that I've made because it's making me a better listener. It's made me more compassionate, but I really like the silence sometimes that I've been able to hold with someone where they have had their own aha moment or they have come up with their own conclusion or solution for things. And if not, I just really enjoyed being able to be trusted and being given the opportunity to share a moment with people and been through their journey in whatever improvement they're trying to do in their own life or change that they're trying to transition to. So that's been rewarding for me. And then when I see the changes and they being rewarded with their own doing, that makes me feel like really like I'm proud of myself for being able to hold that space for them.
Okay, so how would you describe your approach to coaching?
We were given a lot of tools and things to utilize in our tool bag to coach with. So I like that I have these tools to use, but I also like the organic way of just being with someone and just listening and then just finding a thread and working on something that the person wants to work on. And I do like having some structure. And so the education that I've had so far has helped me to have some structure. And so my approach is just to be as humble and as friendly as possible and just try to make anyone in my presence really to be able to share whatever they want to share and be vulnerable and to try to be as non-judgmental as possible, humanly possible. So I just kind of leave it raw and open try not to follow any major structures, but just let it go the way it needs to go and what seems to be right at the moment.
So, how do you handle it when somebody comes to you and they have a specific goal in mind that they would like your help with?
What are the possibilities and what are the things that they're capable of committing themselves to? And then I like to break it down and give them micro steps and then to achieve this goal. So creating it more like a habit for them than just like, here's a list of what I need to do daily in order to reach my goal in a certain time. And then I like to always offer support during at the time of whatever my client is going through. So like today earlier, I just called one of my clients and she's going through a really rough time because she's unfortunately has lost her husband. And so there's a lot of things going on, but like I just knew that I had extra time and I wanted to give back. So I just reached her and we had a little chat together. But I like to check in with people. My philosophy is like, this is a career, but I like to treat everyone like the way I want to be treated. So for me is to try to be as friendly with someone as possible because I want them to feel that working with me is like working with a best friend. So I don't fake it, but I just genuinely care about people. My purpose is to like kind of be the blanket to surround people with, to give them the warmth and comfort that they need during whatever transition they're going through. Specifically, like I really want to work for and with, that's my main focus is with people who are either been like diagnosed with a new illness or are going through an illness or family members. And so because I personally experienced that with my life, so I kind of feel like I know how it feels to be there, and I want to be that blanket for people if I can offer them just a little bit of warmth during their this period of their life.
A human blanket.
A human blanket, wrapping them with love and care. Yeah. I mean, it's just a
Now,
4 minute, but it's sometimes it feels good, right? When you're cold and you know that you have that favorite blanket that wraps you and keeps you warm for just a short time.
yeah. Now you mentioned about you have a specific group that you are looking to work with, and you said it's people who've been newly diagnosed with an illness. If it's okay, could we talk about how your experience with your illness has informed your coaching?
Yeah, so over 20 plus years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And since then, my life has been like just this crazy roller coaster of different things happening. But I have so much to be grateful for because during that, then I have actually married and I've given birth to a child. I have changed careers maybe 3 times. And it's just for me becoming a chameleon to the changes that my illness has brought up on me. So, like 20 years ago, when I was diagnosed, I was a professional working in the fashion industry. And then slowly, as my health kind of changed, things changed. Then I decided to adapt to things. So then I changed my career and then I lost my vision in both my eyes. So then I had to adapt again and rethink things. And so, it was a tough road. But I feel like I've been able to navigate through this road because um, of course, my surroundings, the support I've had from my family and my friends. But can you hear me?
I can hear.
So I feel like, when you're just diagnosed with something or something traumatic happens in our life, we basically can either like crash and just withdraw from things, or we can just kind of try to figure things out like me, and just evolve, right? So I just want to be there for people who are in this storm and try to figure out which direction they need to go and how they need to go there. So I think that this experience that I've had in the past 20 plus years has kind of, I would say, has given me a wealth of just from my own experience of how to adapt. So I feel like it's crucial and it would be beneficial for me to be there for other people, perhaps going through similar situations like me. So maybe it gives me like a little extra strength to deal with it.
I would think so, and I think it's definitely very much needed. So I think that's great that you have that to offer. Switching
Yeah.
gears, I'm wondering, how do you help people who come to you and they find themselves suffering with a lack of confidence?
Well, I mean, we all have a lack of confidence sometimes here and there. So we're human, and this is just part of our imprint. That it's normal to be have a lack, or in some things lack of confidence, something, and more confident in another thing. I mean, I don't know. I think it's fascinating to find the root cause of people having lack of confidence. It's kind of like when you go to a functional doctor, and instead of them just band-aiding you and giving you medication to calm your symptom, when you stop taking the medication, you're going to continue having those symptoms, right? So it's just through questioning and through just digging, you got to figure out what's causing someone to have a lack of confidence in some point in their life or some area. And then together, it'd be good to come up with strategies and ideas that the client themselves would actually participate in and partake in to help build confidence and empower them. So I think there's a cause for everything. So finding the cause is important, because then you can give to that cause and help someone change their mind and build. It's like a muscle too. If you do more, you become stronger. So it's hard to someone, okay, this is what you got to do. So you have to kind of help them understand what it is that they're lacking, and then why it is that they're lacking, and then just kind of together come up with strategies to strengthen the weak part of them.
Hmm. So you're saying confidence is a muscle?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, yeah. It's confidence comes from, mm, it's not something you just buy or just get over one night. It's something that builds on throughout our childhood and throughout our experiences we've had, and hopefully we've been surrounded by positive people, and we've had positive experiences that helped us build that confidence. And so if someone is coming from a family or a trauma that it kind of crushed their confidence, you want to build it up again, or help train them or teach them to gain that confidence. For some people, it could be having a nose job. They'll get a confidence, or it could be driving a better car, or wearing a nicer suit. I don't know, but for everyone, it's different. It's a shield some people put on, or they just have it innately from the amount of wealth they've collected throughout their childhood. And so it's definitely something that could be gained.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, who inspires you
Who
that you coach? I
inspires?
mean, who are there authors,
Well,
famous people, personal people
yeah,
who
you were
inspires you?
my first coach, Ellie. You inspired me. And yeah, you were one of the people, and I know why you inspired me. People that inspire me are just there's several people out there. I think I'm like a collective of my inspiration is a collective of different people, different aspects that they have to offer. Little things can inspire me, like watching a child behave a certain way inspires me sometimes, and then artists inspire me sometimes. I like to read a lot of autobiographies, and what's fascinating is like a lot of the artists, most of them have come from like this really broken childhood background or whatever. And so that inspires me to coach, actually, because at the end of the day, I think um, everybody just wants love, or wants to be heard. And so the coaches out there that are inspiring, I think there's like two things in coaching that is inspiring. One is like those Tony Robbins people, where they're like just constantly like upbeat and giving people positive feedback and inspiring and building people up. That could be inspiring. And if there's people who are compassionate, um, and just really like listening to other people and getting to know them, and who hold space for these people. And a lot of, like, let's say, talk show hosts. I'll name Oprah, if anything. But a combination of these two different types of groups of people together kind of inspire me as a coach.
Could you tell me more about a child's behavior inspiring your coaching? That it really intrigued me.
Children are, and how I like how non-judgmental most of them are. They'll like y- y- you will someone will do something to them, they'll react, they'll be upset, like, no, it's mine, no, it's yours, it's my toy, or whatever. But for most of the time, they don't judge someone like the way we do as adults. They just kind of like are there to play with them and have fun, and then they're okay when they leave. There's no, like, they don't bring any junk home with them, like emotions and so on. So I think I like to like see coaching that way, where if I'm present with someone, I enjoy them, I devour our conversation, and I give them what they want, which is like playtime, and like we interact, and then when we leave, it's I didn't jump in the pool again. I wasn't trying to like take home anything with a grudge, and I was just happy and joyful to be there with them, and hopefully we both had fun. So I think that's like kind of fun about children, and a lot more. But that's one of the things I really admire about kids, how they could just be playful and do what they're there for, which is to like play, and then just they're okay leaving. I don't know, does
Yeah,
this
okay, I
like
see what you're saying. I
resonate
get
with
it.
you in any way? Did you understand what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very present and then done.
I think like as adults we lose that as we grow up, that we even forget, like,
Yeah.
it's the holidays now, right? Like I've been in many parties, and you just can tell like who's there to be present and who's there just to be there at a party, and then have a little small conversation and show off whatever they have, and it's like, okay. So, and it's like now that my eyes are open, meaning like to this presence, I see things a little different, and I feel things differently. So
Mm.
I don't know if we're going
Now
deep
going back a bit, could you
somewhere.
tell me more about what are a
Mm.
couple that really stood out to you that you think are interesting?
Matthew McConaughey wrote a book called, I think it's called Green
Really?
Light, something like that. I read it a couple of years ago. That's an amazing book. To me, very inspiring. I read Jenny Moore's autobiography, and it's just so crazy. We see these stars, or we see people from their outer shell. We usually like judge them or perceive them like, well, how would we see, and then count their success. Or it's so easy these days with social media or even friends. If you're looking someone from the outside, you just judge what you judge. Then when you just like really peel off and you get to know the inner self, and then you see their background, or what made them who they are, or what caused the behaviors that they have, then you just have more, again, compassion or just understanding of why this person is the way they are. So I think that's why I love autobiographies, is because it just kind of like you get to know someone in a different way rather than just from what you see on TV. And then, other autobiographies, like I really enjoyed listening to Nelson Mandela's memoir. Again, like the life he's had and what he's gone through and all that stuff. So there's so many out there. I'm just kind of thinking of a few
Sure,
that I
that's yeah.
remember that I kind of really enjoyed.
Yeah, I did not expect you to say Demi Moore.
And what did
Expecting
you
more like
think?
I
Yeah.
was expecting
Sometimes.
something like Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
I like that they get equal billing. What else? What
Yeah.
else inspires you?
I what inspires me is also sometimes my friends or people, like when I'm with people who are going through certain struggles. Sometimes I find strength from other people's weaknesses or the fact that I have to show up for them and be their strength or hold their space. That inspires me. But I think your question was, as far as coaching goes, what inspires me as a coach?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of I mentioned children, sometimes books, sometimes the way I see other people deal with diversity or their own struggles. And then there's always authors and public speakers and motivational coaches. So it's collectively, it's just like a hodgepodge of different things that I'm inspired by. And sometimes I inspire myself. Sometimes the way I see things or handle things I'm inspired by, um, that I'm proud about. And then my husband as well. So, yeah, a lot of things.
That's right. I remember you made a differentiation between like a Tony Robbins, like, yeah, you can do it style coaching, and then other types of coaching.
It's like a balance, I'm inspired by like these high pitch, energetic coaches that are just like manifesting beautiful things and da, 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 da. They talk about their manifestation techniques, or law of attraction and so on. I think that is true. I am inspired by that, but I also like the yogis or who are humble and just like, or the Buddhists, that are just kind of still. That is sort of inspiring to me as well. So it's like a little bit of everything, little flavors from every dish, you could say, that I've made it my own.
Okay. So switching gears slightly, what frustrates you about coaching?
Frustrating would be the business aspect of it. Me having this visual disability, and then somewhat being handicapped it to like doing things fast, like what just happened with us, a computer glitch. I'm like, suddenly I'm just like, my piece went like out the door for a minute, where I'm just like, something so simple like that other people could figure out really quick. And I'm here, my level of confidence, going back to what we're talking about, confidence just went up, unable to do what I need to do that some people do normally. I have to constantly try not to be frustrated at my own shortcomings and then just celebrate my strengths. So those are
All
the
of
only
us.
times that I think I'm frustrated.
Well, I don't think you're alone in that. I think all of us get frustrated with computers and online stuff at some point. It's just kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
So,
It's just having patience and figuring it out. And it helps to be with someone like you who are so patient and so like
yes.
understanding. So thank you.
What, if anything, has surprised you about coaching so far?
I've surprised myself about coaching. The whole notion of coaching used to be different. I thought coaching is giving advice. But what surprised me is that I find myself giving less and less advice as I do more coaching. At least that's what I want it to be like, for sure. Unless I've really asked for advice. Yeah, that I'm surprised that I can actually be silent, but I'm surprised of that because I always thought like to fill in the silence is the good thing, but I'm surprised how much silence can do.
Mm. Yeah,
So
yeah, I do know what you mean. And what else did I want to ask you? Um, so if somebody is wants to work with you, what can they expect in the first few sessions?
lots of cheese.
Cheese.
I mean, I think they can expect a genuine like warmth of someone who's just present and really wants to help them and help them help themselves, but truly someone who just wants to be there and is interested in walking the journey with them. To me, that's very important. That's like my number one, to be present and to follow through and just to be there to hold someone's hand. So that's my motto for now.
Oh, you're so warm.
I mean, I just think like I want to help people, so in order to help someone, you kind of had to be there for them. So that's my
Yeah.
thought, when I'm with them in a session, to fully be there for them during that session and make it all about them.
So what if somebody's on the fence about coaching? They're interested, but they're not quite sure. What would you say?
Different approach to things. There's no hard feelings. Just try, and if it works, it's great. I was part of their life. And if it doesn't, then I'm sure they can find a different coach. And that's why I think you and I are so good, because we offer different ways of doing things. And then I think someone could appreciate you more than they would appreciate me, and it's okay.
No, continue.
No, I think that people are surprised. Like I was surprised when I was coached, because had no idea what a great impact it would have on me. And to me, it was such a beautiful, like a cut to the to the point of I'm about solutions. I don't like to go to a therapist because I want things done. I want solutions. I don't want to sit there. And maybe because I don't need a therapist, or I don't think I need one now because I don't want to talk about certain things or whatever. But I think just the coach, that's why coaching is so different from therapy. It is a way of therapy, if you call it, even though we're not licensed therapists. I don't want someone to pet me. That's just my character. I don't want someone to like feel sorry for me. I don't want someone to just, I want someone to have compassion, but I want someone to challenge me to think, to have find solutions to things. Coaching resonated so much for me because even though I was emotional and the person who coached me held space, and I was able to be raw and share and cry and laugh and all of this stuff. But at the same time, I was not psychoanalyzed. I was just given the opportunity to think and to solve a solution, and that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's an interesting contrast because you're talking about on the one hand, you want to be super supportive and non-judge, but at the same time, I'm hearing you say you want to get to the point and
Yeah, I wanted to I didn't want to be felt sorry for or be stuck with a judgment of a diagnosis or like da da da. I just wanted someone to challenge me and to like
Hmm.
in their way, which is how it worked. And just by listening to me, letting me process my emotions. And then I just kind of dug myself out of the hole.
It's really powerful just to hear your own words come out of your own mouth.
Yeah. Because giving advice,
Mhm.
when you have your own advice, it resonates more and it's like your own decision. So therefore, it's more inevitable that you will follow through and then make the change happen, rather than when someone gives you advice, tells you what to do. It sounds great and you're appreciative and you're like grateful, but really it doesn't resonate. I
Yeah.
feel like that's just a natural human nature.
Is there something I should have asked?
No, I thank you for asking these questions. It actually was cool because I had no idea what you were going to ask. This was kind of a coaching too for me because now it's like I processed my answers and it's like makes me more grounded of what I believe in. So I
Okay.
think you asked the right questions.
So what stood out for you in our conversation just before we end it?
Um, I think it's like you coach me right now because my answers and my reflections were stuff that I haven't been thinking about. I've just been doing and I haven't really put much thought into it. But what stood out is that I'm so proud of myself because I feel like I'm more grounded now. And whatever I just shared with you, it's truly what I believe. And it's like I have never written it on a piece of paper. It's just been in my thoughts, but you've kind of renewed these thoughts and emotions in me. So I'm just like, I'm on the right path. So thank you
Ah,
for that.
all right.
Yeah, I'm going to have a calmer mind now.
Yeah, that's right. Keep a calm mind.
Yes. Thank you, Ali. I'll see you soon.
Oh, Happy New Year.